All right, we're going to start in a few seconds here. I have to tell you, I've been looking forward to this. All right. Welcome back. It's been a while since I've been on. It's October 6th, 2023. The management services environment is still on a slow rise. It's on a rise. I think the last time I talked, we had reached or maybe eclipsed the number of contracts and MPS activities pre-COVID over here in the U.S. So that's good. We're swinging into the last quarter of the year. The OEMs have released just about everything they're going to do for the year. Now, as sales guys in the field, you know what you're doing. End of the year, end of the calendar year. Hit those quotas, exceed those quotas. Which, by the way, I've talked to a few dealers here in the last week. There was a slight slump last month, but still, everyone's encouraged. There's a big move, I should say, between the big A4s and now people buying A3s, which makes sense, right? Companies are automatically right-sizing their fleets. That's another thing, as I've heard on the street, is that people are bringing down the number of devices, which just shouldn't surprise anyone because the people going back to the office is shrinking. And it's still shrinking. Artificial intelligence is still hot as a buzzword, but now we're starting to see more and more sales assistant type applications hit the market. Now, these are the first, in my opinion, the first and second, not even the second gen, first gen. A lot of them are still old-fashioned sales tools with some sort of AI or machine language bolted on. But the real ones, the organic ones, are starting to probably hit between now and March of next year. That's it for a little bit of what's going on in the world today. But today, I have to tell you guys, I've been looking forward to this particular. I look forward to all of the people I get to talk to. And the folks I like to talk to are people that I would work with. I put myself back when I was a management services practice manager, building a couple practices, stuff like that. Who are you going to partner with, right? Who are you going to work with? Because you know things are going to get challenging no matter what happens. So who's going to be there to help you work through those challenges when something comes up? Nothing runs perfectly. We were just having a little conversation about that. And I also look for fresh talent relative to the established status quo things. Yeah, there's a place for the IBMs and the Anderson Consulting and the big houses in the world. And I also like the up and comers, the guys that have an idea, see a need, see an opportunity, and pull everything together. So that's really what one of the many things that excited me about our guest this afternoon from MyQ. Excellent company, global company, great culture, lots of cool things, and I like the product. As a matter of fact, once we get to this stage of the show, when you get on the show, your product works. You can make those assumptions. The software works as advertised and probably more than what you're saying. So with these guys, I found that to be true. Enough of that. Let me bring them on and see if technologically we're doing good here. We've got on the stage everyone. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Hello, Greg.
Hello, Greg. How you doing?
Hello.
So we've got Robbie here in the U.S., and then we've got Robert and Victor. I'll let them tell you where we're from. Guys, if you can, and we'll start with Robbie, just a quick, brief, single sentence introduction. By the way, we have an hour scheduled, but we can go on for as long as you guys want. But a quick introduction. Start with you, Robbie, then go to Robert, and then Victor. Take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. So Robbie Morris, on the East Coast. I live in South Carolina. A lot of folks like to play "Where's Robbie from?" when they hear the accent. I've been in the industry about 11 years, just over 11 years. Been with MyQ since July of this year, but in my previous capacity was promoting, supporting, and selling their product for that period of time as well.
Okay, I will start. My name is Robert Vardanian, and I'm the Business Development Director for the Americans at MyQ. Together with Victor, we are actually the management team for all our business operations in the Americas. I'm predominantly responsible for the business development activity in our channel partner development activities, as well as the communications with the OEMs in the Americas. And Greg, I have to say it's really a pleasure to be here on your platform, and I'm looking forward to our discussions.
So
Cool.
my 2 minutes of fame.
Victor.
Greg, I feel you want to say something before I start, right? But
No, I'll
anyway,
let you go and then see what happens.
okay, keep that thought in your head. My name is Victor Nestrašil. It's very complicated. So Victor is fine. And I'm the vice president for the Americas. I do basically the same thing as Robert. So I don't think it makes sense for me to introduce my main responsibilities. However, what I want to say is that Robert and I took the matching outfits, and Robbie is the only one who is ruining that. So,
Robbie, how could you do that? Come on, man.
I didn't get that memo.
But anyway, that's me.
good.
Before the Americas, I took this position approximately 1 year ago, and since that point, Robert and I started to develop those strategies and programs and plans that we are now implementing in the US especially, but of course in all the Americas. I think we are going to talk about that today in detail, so no spoilers right now.
No spoilers. Great. Cool. It's good to have you guys. Seriously. Well, let's start there. So Robert and Victor you guys are currently in the Czech Republic, right? So the business is based somewhat out there, I guess, right? Correct? Is that a correct statement? What I would ask right off the top is so twofold. What's the basic difference between over there and over here? But let's start with this. How's business over here? How are you guys doing over here in terms of market penetration? Because you're getting a real good presence online and things like that. The website's beautiful, which I rarely say. Website's a website to me. How's it going here? How's the penetration going? Are things going according to plan, exceeding plan? Let's start with you guys. What get down to you.
Well, I would say that the biggest difference between the European market and the market in the Americas is the size. The size makes the difference. Here in Europe, or especially in Czech Republic, it's such a small country that you predominantly do the business with OEMs. There's not many dealers that you can do business with. In the US, there's thousands of them. So you usually do business with dealerships. And of course, you also explore the opportunities with OEMs. However, the business with single dealerships is what brings you money, and I would also say what brings you joy, because those are companies like MyQ. They want to be successful. They are the underdog trying to grow and penetrate the market. So it also brings you joy to work with those companies. And that's something you don't really have chance to explore in the Europe, because there's so many of those. So you do business with OEMs. So the size and the market situation is a lot different. The second thing that I would mention when we are talking about the difference between US and Europe, is that in Europe, when you want to do business, when you want to sell your product to a customer, the customer usually asks, can you provide me with some reference? Do you already have an experience with a customer in this vertical? And if you do, and you present this reference, you are good to go. You've got the green light. In the US, it's a little bit different. In US, it's mostly about the relationships that you have with dealers. It's mostly about your visibility on social media, on multiple different platforms. If you are seen everywhere, you've got the credibility, and people want to explore the business with you, the partnership with you, and then you are good to go. So those are, in my opinion, the two biggest differences between European market and US one. And if I can finish even the second answer to your second question before I start talking. Sorry, guys. I usually talk too much. Guys, I'm really sorry. But
you are on a podcast. You can speak.
Yeah,
you're okay.
You're fine.
Stop me anytime. But Greg, you asked.
So far, so good.
You you asked about how the penetration of the U.S. market is going for us. How is it looking like right now? So maybe to give you some background of MyQ, MyQ globally has a 30-year-long history. We started in a different market. Now we are a software vendor. However, we established our U.S. subsidiary in Florida 8 or 9 years ago. So we are there for quite some time. However, we feel that right now that there's the best timing for us to penetrate the market even more, because everyone is so focused on diversification and market differentiation, because the market is so saturated by one giant monster that it's very hard for dealerships to be profitable selling that product. So they are looking for alternatives. And although we hate to call ourselves an alternative because we feel that our product is much better, we take the opportunity because it opens the door for our company. And so right now, a year ago, we decided to start heavily investing in our US operations. That's also the reason why Robert and I packed our bags and relocated to the United States, and we spent 6 months together in Carolina under one roof. So he's still getting on my nerves. That's the reason why I wanted to be in a different room today, but then the technology.
Greg, we had a really big house, but it was still very small. It felt really small in there.
So that's probably my answer for those two questions. We tried to penetrate the U.S. market 8 years ago. It didn't go as we planned. However, Robert and I started working for MyQ 2 years ago. We received the investment budget a year ago. We already had all of those strategies that we are currently implementing in our heads. So it wasn't very hard for us to make decisions, informed decisions, because we knew about the US market. And the last thing I'm always saying, that the reason why we relocated to the United States is because we didn't want to manage the US subsidiary from Europe, because we felt like our decisions would be very influenced by our experience from Europe. And that's what we didn't want to do, because those two markets are completely different world. So we wanted to have that experience from the US. We wanted to have the frequent communication with dealerships in the US, with OEMs in the US, because they think differently. They face different problems, different issues, and we wanted to understand those. Yeah. That's why we decided to relocate. Now we feel like we know a lot of those, and we can help them, solve those problems. So that's again, sorry for talking too much.
That's all right. Let me redirect this to Robert then. Okay, so U.S. market. When you engage a dealership, and I'll just out of the hat, let's just say a smaller dealership, not 100 million, maybe they've got five salespeople. So in that, you're down the street type guy. And of course, they're probably everyone's with a system already, whatever it is, right? What is your approach when you talk to that side? And first off, is that in your scope, right? That's one of your profiles for prospects, correct? Or okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, perfect. So what's your approach to these guys when you come in and first talk to them, or maybe when you get that first meeting, and as versus we're an alternative, right? How do you get their attention? What's these guys? What gets them to stay engaged with you?
Yeah, definitely, Greg. And I think this is a really great question, because that's the question we were trying to figure out before we moved to the Americas. And it's a question that we are still trying to figure out, but I think that we have found a really good recipe to able to really connect with the dealers and be able to develop the business in a.
Did they go mute on us?
Yeah, his microphone muted.
That's perfect.
Can you guys hear me?
There we go.
Now we can. Yep. I was going to hand the ball to Robbie. He was going to answer that question for you.
I've got a response
Uh-oh.
ready once Robert finishes.
I think they might have lost our audio as well. I love it.
Well, that's okay. While they're working on that, I'll add my
Yeah.
2 cents into that equation.
Please do.
So I got an email yesterday from a potential partner, and their question was, what does XYZ and ABC solution do that MyQ does not? And I repositioned.
What about now, guys? Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
now.
Can you hear us?
So you can hear us, but we cannot hear you, and we have no idea why.
Okay.
That's okay. I'll keep going with my answer, and then they can hear my response, hopefully.
Let me try to change
The prospect or the vendor reached out and said, what does ABC or XYZ do that MyQ does not? So I repositioned that to say, it's more important, what does MyQ do that those other solutions do not do? That's what we need to focus this conversation on. And that's the exciting part about it, with some of the different nuances that we have in the MyQ portfolio, of being able to say, here's how we approach that solution differently. Here's how we have a little bit of a better mousetrap, obviously, in our highly biased opinion.
Right. So I'm glad this is actually okay. So Robbie, give me, because it's a little bit more tactical, one thing, one aspect that is different that you would answer that question, one specific example.
One of the biggest things that I focus on is the personalization and customization of MyQ. So many competitors in our arena, other partners, after they see MyQ, they see a demonstration of it, they'll say, oh, this solution is so rigid. It's very specific in nature, to where you can't use feature A and B together. You have to use feature A or feature B. And in the MyQ world, our platform is designed in such a way that if for half of the organization feature A is what they need, but the other half needs feature B, we can segment those two, so we're providing the best of both worlds to that customer, no matter what their demand is, where other solutions just don't have that flexibility.
Can you give a real world example? Would that be a mixture of contracts or how would you give me an example of that?
I'll give you just a real basic example of that.
That's
in
our
world,
basic.
Yeah, in our world, output management, I mean, that's what our bread and butter is. When someone hits file print, we want to manage those print jobs. In order to do that, we have to know who the person is sending those jobs. Where our system, I can bring in users from Azure Active Directory, or local, or Google Domain Services, or even just manually. Other manufacturers say, okay, you're either going to do it manually, or you're going to synchronize from this source, where it's pigeonholing those folks into A or B, not A and B.
Okay, good.
Greg,
good example. Are you guys connected? You're connected. You're back.
Yeah, we are back. Sorry for the technical issues. So I'm gonna try to work with your question. I hope I'm gonna say something different that what already Robbie said, because the issue is we didn't hear anything. So let's see. Maybe we are completely in line with our thoughts.
This should be fun.
What I wanted to say is that when it comes to direct channel engagement, I would say there are, of course, 2 layers of the engagement. The first one is the product itself. So the value proposition of the product, the way how the product is able to deliver to the customers, how it actually streamlines the work that is done by the dealers, the value that they are able to bring to the customers. That's of course the most important part. But I would say equally important from the perspective of your question, and trying to understand how we can help the dealers and the dealer channel community, is our understanding how we help them to further develop their business, how they can drive new business opportunities with solution sales. We have the concept of software-driven sales, and that's something that we see is growing a lot. But basically, when Victor and I are thinking about the way how we engage dealers, we are not only thinking about, hey, look, we have far more features than our competitors have, or we have 10 unique selling points that no other solution is able to offer. That's of course very, very important part of our business, and that's why we have such a talented solution specialists as Robbie and our other pre-sales teams who are able to communicate the technical intricacies of the product. But we have to think from a sales perspective. We have to think, okay, I'm a dealer. I'm trying to operate my business in an environment which is very much dynamic. It's an environment where every business needs to be able to adapt very quickly to the ever-changing conditions, and we see that with digital transformation, with COVID coming in, with the pandemics. So what we are always trying to do is to create a business value proposition, a business proposal, and a conditions of our partnership that will always help our dealers first when they are getting on board with MyQ to be able to make money from day one, because we don't want our dealers to take a couple months to learn the solution, then take additional half a year to build a pipeline. No, we are working in an environment where we provide them with financial conditions where they will be able to drive solution sales from day one, and they will be extremely profitable with the solution sales. So that's our responsibility, and we have both covered, I would say. So our business value proposition is very powerful. We were just announcing our MyQ partner programs that we are enrolling now, and we can talk about them. But at the same time, the product is, of course, very important, and we are very confident. We have a very talented team of developers, both for our on-premise or private cloud solution, MyQ X, and of course also for our public cloud platform, MyQ Roger. And we always believe that the value proposition that we are able to deliver to our customers, and also the business, the unique features that are aimed towards the partners to make the life of the partners easier, easy deployment, those sort of features. We also believe that these are benefits that we are able to offer, of course.
Okay, and so someone put this on deck because I did want to touch on the is it a certification program or what? That I read about the other day. And the other thing you talked about, making money right away. Okay, so let's hold, because I want to hit those. I'm glad you brought them up. So let's step back real quick. Let's assume that I'm a prospective customer, right? So I'm a practice manager or an owner or whatever. And you guys know this, but I'm just going to outline it. My world is crazy. All right. I've got my primary OEM. I've got my secondary and third line. I've got A4s, and I treat A3s differently because that's the way I've done it forever. I do have an MPS practice, but that is evolving over time because it started off in the olden days. It's just toner under this machine when you call me or whatever. And it's progressed a little bit. I have a legacy accounting system. I had one of the DCAs. I've integrated that in as best I can. I work with HP. I'll just throw that in there. So I've got service, warranty, exchange, DOAs, all that stuff, everything you can possibly, as you know, that there's a lot of moving parts in all of these, let alone now I want to explore IT and maybe, whatever. You come into that environment. What is the value prop? I think I heard it, but I want to hear what you would say to me, because I've already checked box. You guys look good. The software, I've gone out, I've checked out. The software looks fine. You're a real company, like you said earlier. Now I see you everywhere, so you've got that credibility. Now what? When you come in and you say, "Hey, Greg, I understand your world. This is where we can help you today." What would that be to me?
Mm-hmm. Should I?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can start, and then I will
open that up to anyone.
Yeah.
By the way, cheers, guys.
Oh, cheers!
Oh, cheers, Greg.
Now I regret the decision that we didn't buy this. Yeah, but
it's okay.
Anyway,
I'm just thirsty, so
we can look at it from two different perspectives. I think both Robert and Robbie talked about it. Those perspectives are business side and product side. So I'm not going to talk about the product side because I think Robbie's going to talk about it after my response. But what we can talk about is the business side of things and what we can offer to those dealers, to the variety of these dealers from the business perspective. And Robert already indicated that we launched new partner programs. Now, why we did that? We didn't do it so that we can buy in the market.
Before you go, can you maybe outline what the dealer programs in, just thumbnail them? I mean, what are the, okay.
Absolutely. So first of all, I can give you the names of those 3 partner programs. The first one is Partner Development Program. The second one is Best Buy Test Program. And the third one is Sales Incentive Program. And now I'm going to tell you why we launched every single one of those, because that will answer your question when you were asking how are we helping dealers in today's world that is very dynamic, changing from day to day. So first of all, as I said, dealers nowadays in today's market are facing a lot of different challenges. First of all, as I said in the beginning, they need to be different. They need to differentiate. They need to diversify their portfolio. Now, why? Because if you offer one single product, if you rely on one vendor, then you can make sure that your competitors will do the same thing. So when you go to the market and you offer this product and you expect that your competitors will offer different product, it's not the case. They will offer the same thing as you are offering. So then you are competing on price. And that's not something we want to do. We want to keep the prices high so that we can make money. We are in the business world. That's why we are here. Of course, we would love to be philanthropists, but that's not our business. That's not the world we are in. So dealers have to diversify to satisfy more customers. If they don't do that, first they have the price war. Second, they will lose business. So that's the first thing we can help them with, and that's the product side, which Robbie can talk about. What I want to talk about is that if you, as a dealer, diversify and you onboard a new solution in your portfolio, everyone's telling you you have to be patient. It takes time for you to make money with that solution. And that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what we wanted dealers to do. We didn't want them to be patient and wait to make money in a year or 2 or 3. That's not what we wanted. We wanted them to be successful as soon as possible and satisfied with both our product and the partnership we bring to the table. So we launched the first program. It's called Partner Development Program. This program comes with very aggressive price reduction from the start for our MyQX product. Now, why?
Oh, okay.
Again, we don't want you to be patient, but we can be patient. You know, there's the benefit of the business model that we chose a couple of years ago. We didn't partner with a US distributor that we would be selling the product to. Then we would rely on that distributor to resell that product to dealers, resellers, and then to end customers. We didn't want to have that business model. We established a subsidiary. So that gives us a lot of maneuvering space in terms of margin provision because it stays with us. We're not losing margin along the way. So we decided to play with that margin and to, cut it a bit and provide it to the dealer. So that's the reason why this program comes with a lot of price reductions so that it's less expensive for the dealers to purchase our products for the first few months, but they can sell it more expensively. So they are making money from the get-go. They don't have to wait. They don't have to be patient to make money with the new product they onboarded in their portfolio. So that's the first one. The second program we have is Best Buy Test. And that's, again, that came from the necessity, because if you come to a dealer and you asked that a couple minutes ago, it was a question for Robert, how we react when we are approaching smaller businesses, smaller dealers. Smaller dealer is typical in the terms of they are a small company that wants to grow. In order for them to grow and penetrate the market, they need something, for free that they can go to the market with, use it, install it to the customer premises free of any charge. The customer can play with that product. And after a couple of weeks or months, the customer will come back to the small dealership and they will tell them great. Thank you for installing that in my premises free of any charge. Now I would like to buy it. So that's the second program that we have, Best by Test. We are able to provide as many licenses as you want so that you can go to the market, install it free of any charge, have the customer play with that product for a certain period of time, and then you can make you can convert the potential customer to actual customer, or make the upsell. For example, if you already sold your devices to the premises without any print management solution, now you install the print management solution free of charge and you make the upsell after that. So that's the second program that we have. And the third one is sales incentive program. And again, it goes hand in hand with those three programs that I just described. The first one, you build the business with the price reductions we provide you. The second one, you go and you offer it to the market, to the customers, free of any charge. When you have those customers, you need something as a director or manager or owner of a company, you need something that you can use to motivate your sales reps. Because if you don't have that, your sales reps will probably not sell the new product you just decided to onboard to your portfolio. So we didn't want to rely on those directors, owners, or managers to motivate their sales reps based, on our need to sell our product. We understand that our product is this amount of their business, so we need to motivate
one of many. Okay.
Exactly. So we decided to launch the third program, sales incentive program, through which we are incentivizing the sales reps of those dealerships from our margin based on how much of licenses for MyQ they actually sell every single month.
Okay.
So you sell 10 licenses per month, you receive this amount of dollars back. You sell more, you receive more incentives. So this is how we can help dealers in today's market from the business perspective. Now, if you want to talk about how we can help them product-wise, I think Robbie can tell you more about that. I could only tell you those unique selling points, but it would be too salesy. So.
Well, okay, that's great. So let me summarize in my head so I think I have a clear understanding. First off, you've got reduced costs to me as the dealer for a certain period of time while while we ramp up our sales. Secondly, you've got a trial system that is X amount of or a certain number of licenses can go out in the field, be installed for a certain amount of time, and if they want to go pull the trigger, we can go ahead and execute that. And then you've got the sales incentive that goes down to the salesperson, and that's a spiff. That's what I forget what the acronym stands for, but an X amount per number. Everyone in the industry knows what that is, right? If you sell this particular copier, you get a $500 spiff that goes right to you, whatever that is. Okay, so you've got those three programs in place right now to help things go along, that's a good model, right? I mean, it's tried and proven. The trial system is excellent. All right, now this is kind of an offside question, but do you encourage your dealers and partners to use it in-house in a certain manner? How do you talk about that, right? I mean, and this is a true question, right? I don't know the answer to it. And it's because of my belief that if you don't use it internally, how can you sell it externally? Now, we know in the real world that hardly ever happens, right? We sell stuff that we don't use in-house. It's just the way it's been forever. That's kind of an aside, but it's a leverage point. Do you try and encourage someone to implement it into their dealership first? Is there a talk track around that? And maybe explore that, Robert? Or
let me jump in on that one,
okay.
Greg, because that falls a little more into my wheelhouse sometimes. So
sounds good, Robbie. Yep.
When we're working with those partners, obviously we want to get them certified on our platform. We want them to be able to support it themselves, because ultimately their customer is not our customer, it is their customer. So we want them to be that first line of support, first line of defense, whatever term you want to use there. On that same vein, when they get certified with us, when they go through our training process and we check that box that they are a certified partner, we give them a 1-year NFR, not for resale license, for their showroom. It's good for up to 10 different devices. There's no restrictions. There's no limits
Okay.
placed on it. It's a fully functional
That's what I'm
system.
asking.
Exactly. So they can implement that. They can turn on the features of MyQ. They can have their sales folks, their account managers using it internally, because folks are going to sell what they're comfortable with. So we do that to make it easy for them to utilize in their environment so that their folks are comfortable utilizing it. They can tell customers how they use it. And more importantly, they can bring customers in and show them how they use it.
Demo it.
You were talking about that earlier with the difference in the marketplace between the European and US marketplace. Is the European marketplace, usually they like to see the data and statistics of why this is a proper solution. Here in the US, we want to take that trial run. We want to kick the tires. And that's what we're setting them up for with that.
Okay. Good answer. All right. I like that. Along the lines there, maybe. So how has the user interface, the user experience been? What's the feedback you're getting? I know it's going to be positive, but on the details, how is that working in the field in front of users? What kind of feedback are you getting in terms of what they see when they look at the console and things like that?
So I was at a show yesterday. One of our partners here in the US had a big 40th anniversary celebration. Brought in
Oh,
several
really? Who was
hundred
that?
prospects. Coordinated Business Systems out of Minnesota.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Well,
Cool.
I was with them, and one of their customers came in, an IT individual for several different car dealerships in the area, and we were talking about just challenges he has with the amount of turnover in staff they have. And I said, well, when someone needs to learn how to use the copier, he's like, oh, I don't even deal with that. I got too much on my plate. I push them off to their sales manager. So I was showing him how with the MyQ interface, we can make it so simple. I always use the analogy that if we design the user experience well enough, anyone should be able to walk out with no training and utilize the platform. And as I started peeling that back and showing it to him, how whether a user walks up to this OEM or that OEM or a third different OEM, we're able to present to them nearly an identical experience across all three of those OEMs. So they don't have to think about, oh, I'm in front of this manufacturer, this is how I do that process, or this manufacturer, this is how I do that process. When they have MyQ, the process is the same no matter which engine they walk up to. So we're taking that and making it a centralized management versus those individual endpoints that the users have to interface.
And Greg,
Along those lines, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if I can add to that, because it's a very important milestone and very important point that I would really like to speak about, and it really connects to the easy to use interface, to the value proposition that is inside the embedded terminals client that we have, which is basically the connector, the platform where the users interact with the machine. So it's the most important. It's actually the most important part, and we can discuss that later. But what I wanted to say is that we have been working a lot recently, and in the past years, as we have been operating in the US for the past 8 to 9 years, to get the Canon MEP support in the Americas for our embedded term for the client, but we never had it, which was really a challenge and a huge limitation. As you know, Canon, I've seen the statistics. If you look at AA3, they are first in market shares, 23%. So it was really challenging because we had existing partners who wanted to also work. They wanted to use the integration with Canon, which we have been doing that business in Europe, but didn't have it for the Americas. So it was a huge challenge for our current dealers, and it was also a challenge when we came to the dealers and we were trying to get them on board, trying to partner up with MyQ. When they had Canon in their product suite, it was really challenging for us to start doing business. However, luckily, we have been able to actually get MEP license support a couple months ago. And one of the reasons that we have been able to get it is the actual value of the user interface that MyQ provides. And I'm going to give you a practical example which helped us to actually get this support. So we had a huge customer in Europe. It's an international company with with many locations, many branch locations all over the Europe. And this customer also has a corporate structure in the Americas. So they were using MyQ in the Europe for numerous years, and they loved MyQ. They are happy with MyQ. So when they were trying to enroll a solution into their operations in the Americas, MyQ was the immediate choice. They didn't even need to contemplate. It was a decision that they made right away. However, they also had Canon in their fleet in the Americas. So what they actually said is that we need to get MyQ in the Americas. We are used to MyQ, we love MyQ, and we are even able to change the devices. We don't care about the vendor if it doesn't support MyQ. So that's what I was talking about when I said software-driven sales, because all those manufacturers, all those OEMs, they have great products. If we look at Epson, their value proposition is amazing. If we look at Canon, great platform. If we look at Kyocera, amazing devices. All those devices are really good. However, when I think about technology and how users actually interact with technology, and even we can look at ourselves. For instance, I love Apple. I love Apple products. And the reason why I love Apple products is because it's because of the software. Because the software is so intuitive, I can personalize it for myself, and that's the platform that I interact with on a daily basis. And the same goes with a copier. The user doesn't actually care about 100, 200, 300 features. What they care about, the actual end user, is when I come to the device, I want to get my job done. I want to get my work done. I don't want to be bothered. I want that process to be streamlined. I don't want to have any issues. And that connects with what Robbie said when he said that when we customize our embedded terminal for individual users, group of users, or for the company in general, we want to we want to create a circumstance when the user can interact with the platform in a very streamlined and easy to use manner with no issues.
Well, yeah. Now, see, we're swerving into a great. There's two things. I'm gonna start with this because I really want to stress this point: the MEP certification. Okay, as an example of an organization who can get MEP first off. That's, if I remember correctly, that's not easy to do. That was technically there's this side. Then there's the corporate side of working the labyrinth of Canon business systems and Canon to get into the right people, to get your quote software into the organization, and then to reach approvals to do that. That's at least what I remember, that was a major accomplishment for anyone to do. Anyone, let alone, right, a small company that has this software thing that we've never heard of, except for my client over in Europe uses it. So maybe we should take a look at it. I mean, those guys. So if I'm a business, go back to what I was talking about earlier. If I'm a practice manager and I hear that story, that tells me that the organization that got that through is multifaceted and has multiple levels of talent, technical, organizational, and communication, and can get that particular project through Canon. Okay, great. Now what, right? If I could, that's behind me and I'm out trying to sell this to a customer, a small customer, or Johnson & Johnson, GM, one of the bigger companies, I know for a fact that I've got someone back in the office or wherever that's got the hierarchy and the structure to deal with those kind of problems beyond the software doesn't work, beyond, the installation is troubled. I've got an organization back there that has all these intricacies and these managerial things that can make other things happen. I think that internally, that's a really huge asterisk next to your guy's name. Seriously, I mean, free advice to me, because that's tough to do, right? There are I know at least 4 different companies that tried to do it and just couldn't get in because they weren't big enough. They didn't take it seriously. They, whatever the reasons, but to get that, that's great. And then what you said about the user X and Apple, I bet if we look at any copier from 1999 to this year, there are at least 400 or 500 functions in that machine that can do whatever it's even, you look at Word, look at Excel, look at all these applications. Well, all I need is the spell checker, right? An end user, there's thousands of functionalities in these packages that no one uses. So if you can narrow that down, it sounds like you do by user, right?
Yep.
Boom,
By
cut
user,
out all that other crap.
Yeah.
Now I've known I've heard that happening before. That's fine. But that really does answer my question about the user interface. Actually, you did with the Meep things. Like, wow, that's pretty cool. All right. And then yeah, hundreds of functions down, boil it down to each user, increase the user experience. All right. So Robbie, what can you add to that conversation, that subject?
I think they really covered it pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's much I would add to that one that could highlight it further, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I might.
All right.
I
So
might.
let's
Right.
go ahead.
Right. If you give me a second, I will just highlight one thing. First of all, I would like to say that although I completely agree with what you said, it has been a pleasure for us to work with Canon USA. I just wanted to highlight that it was really, really professional, really, really great cooperation. So I'm really glad that we now have the support.
Well, that's great. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just wanted to
feather in your hat. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that's not an elephant in the room, but I'm going to shift gears a little bit and maybe hit you from the blind side. I don't think so, though. So as you know, artificial intelligence for some reason has gotten a big, huge, everyone's talking about it. It's on the news. It's everywhere. That since ChatGPT came out in February last year, and whatever. Personally, I use it every single day. All right. I'm up to my eyebrows in it incredibly. And whenever there's something, it's ChatGPT that I'm using. I don't get in. I try everything else, but it hasn't worked as well as that. So as an organization, it's multifaceted. As an organization, where does artificial intelligence fall on your whiteboard? That'd be more strategic to apply to you guys. And then in general, I'd love to get your impressions of where AI is going to impact, and we'll start with just business, but everything, right? So let's start with that. What are you guys doing with AI in the future? Or is it on a whiteboard? Is it off a whiteboard? Is it a project? Where do you guys stand with that right now? Anyone?
Right. I think I'm the least educated about AI, but I'm gonna. That's the reason why I'm gonna start, because I think Robbie and Robert have more insights on AI. But I'm gonna tell you a few things from my side. Of course, AI streamlined everything tremendously. It saves time, extremely. And of course, when it got launched, I started using that for almost everything, because it was so easy to open the ChatGPT, ask a question, and you have the answer in 3 seconds. And you can use it and use it for your work, use it for your, just daily life. But at some point, I think it was like a month after I started using ChatGPT, I kind of started hating that, because then I opened Outlook and I wanted to reply to a partner asking me a question, and I was like, man, I'm unable to even think about what I should write myself. I have to go to the ChatGPT and ask if ChatGPT can recommend me some email structure that I can use, because I was so used to that process from the last month of using that technology that I was dumb. And I was like, I don't want to be that. So I came back to the original model and to my standard life. So I'm not using ChatGPT that much, only when I'm extremely busy, which is happening quite often right now, especially when we are managing the US subsidiary from Prague. So we start working at 9 a.m. and we finish at midnight. So there's a lot of tasks that ChatGPT can help you with. So of course you use it for some reasons. But today, after those months of ChatGPT being alive and among us, I think you can already know what was written by a human and what was written by ChatGPT. So you go on LinkedIn and you see a post and you're like, man, I don't even want to read this because I know it's ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly.
I see the first sentence and I know that person didn't spend any minute thinking about the content he wants to write. So I know he doesn't care. That's why I don't want to read it. And I think that most people are looking at the thing, from the same perspective as I do. So that's the reason why I stopped using ChatGPT that often, and I came back to the original model where when people have to really use their brain. So that's my first reaction to ChatGPT. But of course, from the technology perspective and future perspective, you will not be able to get rid of it. It's simply evolution of the technology that you have to adapt to. And if you will not be able to adapt to it, you will die and you will bankrupt. So we have to adapt in a sort of way, in some kind of way, and we are doing that. So that's the reason why we implemented ChatGPT in our documentation page, which I think is an extreme benefit for dealers that we work with, because before ChatGPT, we had thousands of technical documentation on our portal, and a dealer, if they had some issue, they had to log into that portal and look through those thousands of pages to find the issue they were looking for.
Yeah.
It may have taken like even 3 hours. Now we have the ChatGPT, so you have an issue, you ask that chatbot that we implemented into our website, and the chatbot will give you the right document you're looking for. So that's the first thing that we are using ChatGPT for. But of course, in our roadmap, there's a lot of plans using AI in our both products. But I'm not the right person to talk about that. So that's not my business, I would say.
Okay. Robert, what do you think?
Yeah, I generally think that it's really important for us to try to, I don't want to say defend, but have that creative human thought still reserved for us, because that's where all the great ideas come. However, at the same time, I come from a legal background. I'm a lawyer by profession, by vocation. So when I see technology developing in that way, and I see some of the manual tasks that people are doing on a daily basis. For instance, just to give you an example, which we can give you a lot, we can think about multiple examples, but in the legal sector, you would do a due diligence analysis. For instance, when you would do a merger or some kind of acquisition or transfer of shares, you would try to analyze a huge, and I mean hundreds and thousands of contracts, invoices, documentations related to the business, and this all has always been done by people working in that company, working in that law firm, going through thousands of pages of documentation. So and they have to read it, they have to understand it, they have to analyze it, and then they have to abstract all the important data that is actually needed for the transaction. So given the way that AI is developing, I think and I believe that the good part about AI will be that it will actually help us to get those manual tasks, those tasks that we don't need to do. There is no need for creative human thought to be involved. We can do those by usage of advanced AI technologies, and but also then there will always be a part within the business of any organization where human thought to be involved. Even for discussions in legal sector, you cannot teach AI to give your client an advice. It has awesome capabilities. It can analyze the text in a way that no human brain can do in such a streamlined and short a period of time. However, there's always a relationship with a client. There is a relationship between vendors and dealers. There are nuances to, I would say, all the human endeavor. Well, where we need to try to defend the space for creative human thought.
That's what I'm. One last thing from myself. That's personally most afraid of. That when you look at history and those technologies that were created or developed in the last 2 decades, you see that those technologies were developed for human benefit, for improving the world in some way. But then you give some person the power to decide what we are going to do with that technology, and they don't use it for the benefit of all of us, but they use it the other way around. And that's what I'm personally most afraid of. That, for example, I know that Robert comes from a legal sector, and so I think about it a lot because we also talk about it a lot together. And that's what I'm afraid of, that we will start using AI, for example, instead of judges, and some technology will be judging me if I did something wrong based on some document that it reads, and it extracts some sort of data about me as a person, and it will decide if I go to jail or not. And that's my problem with AI. And the second problem with AI is that if we start using that too much, we will lose the creativity that we have, and we will simply forget how to be creative, how to be smart, how to educate ourselves, how to work hard. And we will be sitting at our home office 24/7 using some AI that will do everything for us. And that's not what I want to do, because that gives power to those few people controlling the world, which is not what I want to do. I want to be a person.
Robert,
Well,
did
absolutely
you
right.
Oh, I'm sorry, Greg. I was
Robert.
going to ask Robert, did you see, and Greg, you may have saw this, where here in the U.S., an attorney actually turned in a brief to the court, and when the judge looked into it, the attorney had ChatGPT write it for him, and it cited cases that were non-existent, and he was reprimanded by the court for doing it. Yeah, it exists.
That's funny.
My 2 cents, and I'll make it very quick. If we bring this back to our industry,
right? Yeah.
So many partners now have such a difficult time finding sales folks that have the ability to speak to a customer. So many folks now, I'll send them an email, I'll send them a text message. They are scared to death to get on the phone with anyone because they don't know how to communicate. I consider myself still somewhat young, almost 37 years old, but I look at the younger generations or the folks entering the workplace now, they don't know how to speak to anyone. And that's the continuation of what I see next with this AI. I think it has its places. I think there will be benefits to it, but I think it has to be metered as well.
Wow. That's a good point. Right. Well, here, let me throw in my 2 cents, especially Victor, what you said about the creativity and things. Absolutely. I don't know how to work a slide rule. Right. And I can barely add 4-digit numbers together because I can throw it on a calculator. Right. I mean, the 7s and 4s and 9s and all that stuff. I mean, I'm just saying. But to give you just a speck of hope, and I don't know if it's true, where it's going to end up, because I'm with you. It's like, oh my gosh, yeah. I thought just this morning, it's like, gee whiz, if I didn't have chat, holy crap, I would have added 12 hours to my day to do stuff. And then I'm thinking exactly what you're thinking. It's like, well, hell, would I be able to think? Because,
Yeah.
So personally, I write for a lot of different people. There's one specific platform I don't use. I only use ChatGPT just to do some like editing, not even editing, just like spell check or grammar and stuff like that. But you're right, the sources, you got to triple check your sources. But see, what I'm learning, you might take solace in this, is that it sometimes takes longer to create a prompt than it does to write the content. So a lot of thought goes into that prompt. So it's not just that, hey, write me a 1,000-word essay on the Civil War. That's not it. I mean, you'll get crap back. But if you really give it some thought, and it's just like programming, which I hate to say, I hate programming, but it's in that context. If you give it a lot of thought, you will get your quality becomes 10 times better. That's where I think the power is.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's the answer or not, but the creativity is shifted from actually writing and typing to thinking and putting into a prompt something that will deliver what you want to be delivered, that someone is going to consume and get something out of, right? So your perfect example, and I've done it, and I've seen my own stuff. It's like, I go, Jesus, I didn't write that. This machine wrote it. Oh, and I'm looking at another thing. He didn't write that. I know for sure because the dang structure is the exact same that Chat did for me. So so I'm with you on that. But I think there is a glimmer of hope on the creative side. I don't know where it's going to land yet. But the other thing about who's in control of it, I'm absolutely behind you 100%. That's when I see Google and Microsoft and the big names drop billions into it. They're not trying to innovate AI. They're buying AI. That's
Yeah.
a huge red flag to me. And
Yeah.
now we're off to the races now.
And
But
don't
see what they did with SEO.
Yeah. But don't get me
So
wrong.
you're-
I think we all have to learn how to use it. We all have to learn how to live with AI, because if we don't,
Yeah.
we will die, because there is no way we can avoid AI.
Yeah,
We just have to adapt to it. If we
Exactly.
don't, every single new technology creates the differences between social classes, just bigger and bigger and bigger
Yeah.
and bigger. Well, I'm also
that's true.
that's why I also view those technologies negatively. But on the other hand, you just have to learn
Yeah.
how to use it, how to live with it. If you don't, you will be at the
And
bottom.
what I think is also that with every technology, it's also about not only about the technology itself, but the way we decide, because it's ultimately our decisions, how we decide to work with technology. For instance, as we speak, I'm a huge chess fan, and I remember when chess computers came in. You would have great players, and there would be no chess. There would be chess theory, but there would be no computer. And computers are so powerful in chess. You cannot even compete with. The best player, the world champion, cannot even compete with computer chess. So there are two types of players, and this can be emulated to the actual way we are thinking about all the technology. There are players who just ask the computer the right moves, the right chess moves, then try to memorize those moves, and when they go to a match, they just try to play on the memory, just remembering the moves that computer has recommended. But those are not successful, because whenever there is a smart player in front of them and gets them out of the theory preparation from the computer, they don't know what to do. They're out of moves and they get crushed.
Right.
But at the same time, there are players who use that technology in a smart way. So they get inspired. They use the smart technology to actually understand the concepts, to find the good ideas. So it's not only about, is it AI good? Is it bad? It's also about, how am I going to use that technology to actually do my work in an efficient way, in a more productive way, but at the same time, how to actually develop my capabilities, because ultimately humans have so many capabilities and talents that it would be a huge shame to not use those and rely on AI.
On a machine, yeah. I think the word that I picked up what you said was inspiration. All right. So if we as humans can use AI as inspiration,
Yeah.
and it, that'll be a lot bigger than inspiration in the past. But and you're right. There are going to be people who use AI mechanically and duplicate or try and replicate an actual process that AI has optimized, for instance. But if you can take it as inspiration, then you can move beyond and above whatever happened, what everyone else is. That's what I'll say on AI. But for one more thing, I'm trying to figure, and there's no answer. I'm working with a group, with Mike's ECS group. We're trying to figure out how to bring AI to the channel in terms of, a dealer ABC is going to, hear us talk on Friday and bring something in on Monday that is AI based that will increase their revenue. There's nothing right now. Nothing, nothing. You can't shrink wrap or put a SKU on AI just yet, and I don't even know if you ever will. Right now, we're seeing it in cost reduction, process reduction. In like you said, every as my example before, with multiple moving parts, there's a process in every single step in running a business. In my opinion, the AI can help shrink those processes and squeeze as much efficiency out of it. We don't see anything that's revenue generated right now that you can say, hey, take this AI and go sell it to your customers. That's nothing we see yet. So briefly, and then I've got one more subject I want to cover. Is that do you feel the same way? As it's relevant to our channel? We're just looking at maybe helping salespeople be more salesy or whatever. Decrease the process of looking up and researching service calls. Well, you guys did it. That's right, you did it with the ChatGPT or GPT on your support documentation. Do you guys see anything else where that could be applicable today, or are we just in the woods? Is there something we're missing? I guess is what I'm asking. What is your take on that big gibberish I just said?
Well, I definitely agree with you that nowadays you can use AI to cut costs, to bring more efficiency to your processes, so you can become more profitable with the same amount of revenue that your business has. But I also think you can use AI to find new revenue streams, or to better talk to your current customers to squeeze more money out of them, just by using a different approach, a different wording, a different strategies when you go out and sell solutions. Because we people do mistakes every single day. You see a customer and you tell him, you've got this problem, I've got this solution. But then you find out that you offered wrong solution. So you ended up losing that business. So your revenue is X. But if you had AI that would tell you what wording you should use and what solution you should provide to that particular issue, you will not lose that business and you get new revenue streams. So, I already saw a few companies using AI for that purpose. So they really rely on their previous historical data from their sales representatives, writing down what went good, what went wrong when going to customers, what solutions they offer to particular problems. And now they're using those data and putting that into AI. For the new sales reps coming in the company asking a question, the AI, based on the historical data, will give him the right solution he should offer to the customer. So I think that you are correct. AI will help you tremendously with respect to cutting company costs and become more profitable and efficient. But it can also help you to find new revenue streams and to help you talking to customer in a better, more efficient and smart way to get more money out of those.
Perfect. Yeah, good reflection. Anyone else before I hit you with the next subject? Okay, good. All right. Robbie, have you been to the Czech Republic? Have you gone there?
I haven't yet. That's a 2024 item on the agenda, though.
All right. So here's my question. I've from what I've known, I've never been either. So right, I've only been to Australia. I've never been in the Americas. I haven't been to Europe, which I someday will. So when I think of the Czech Republic, and I've worked with someone from 10, 12 years ago, I think of a hotbed of intelligent people, programmers, and I don't want to be generational, but I will be generational. Younger, upstart, go-getters is to put it slightly. Okay, smart people like what you just said about your interest in chess. I've been in the industry for a long time. I can probably name on my one hand how many times I've heard anyone in my industry say that. Okay,
actually, the Best by Test program that Victor outlined. Actually, the name is inspired by a very famous quote by great Bobby Fischer, the most popular, I would say, chess player of the history of Americas, which is a huge idol of mine. And he actually had an interview, and during the interview, he was asked the ever continuing question: what is the best move? What is the best first move in chess? And he actually said E4 best by test. That's the only thing he said, and it's a very famous quote by Robbie Fisher. So we have actually used that to name our program best by test.
Oh, I love it. That's great. And Bobby Fischer, yeah, cool. That's cool. So yeah, stuff like that. And I'm going to ask. So we've got this crazy stuff going in the Ukraine. How impacted? What's it look like culturally, politically, economically? How insulated? Let's just open that wide. I haven't read the CIA report, but they have one somewhere. What's that environment look like? What's the temperature in terms of where you guys are at, especially in terms of business and future business?
Yeah. So again, I think we can both contribute to the topic, but from a perspective of regular person in Czech Republic, you don't really see a difference since the war in Ukraine started, because between Czech Republic and Ukraine, there's one more country that separates two of us. So we are not that impacted by what's happening over there. So you don't really see or feel any difference, especially in the beginnings when the war started. You didn't really see a difference, although you heard about it in the news and newspapers and TV and whatnot. However, especially now when Robert and I came back to Prague from the US after 6 months, you definitely see the difference that happened with respect to pricing of everything that you come across. Everything is extremely expensive, not as much as in the US, but but it's still expensive. It's expensive if you compare it to the situation where you were a couple months ago. So, and of course, if you talk about politics, or if you are educated in that sector, then you start seeing and feeling the difference, because it really impacted the entire economy here in the Czech Republic tremendously. But regular person that doesn't really talk politics, that doesn't really care about politics, and they try to live their normal lives, going to work, then back home, watching TV, then going back to work again, they don't really see a difference. But if you are at least a bit educated and you are interested in politics, economy, and so on and so forth, you see the difference. So yeah, that's what I would say maybe too.
Yeah, what I would add is that we in Europe, Prague is basically the heart of Europe. So for us, this was a huge shock because we are used to the environment of European Union, the environment where use of force in international relations is completely out of any realm of possibilities. So when it happened, we were actually really in shock, I would say. But it happened. It's an ongoing war, and I think the Czech Republic is doing an amazing job to actually support or all the victims of the aggression of the war. So we have a lot of refugees that we are accepting every day. We have a lot of people actually in Prague, a lot of Ukrainians, and we are trying to do our best to actually support them. So that's the situation, and it's really it's a huge shame that this is happening. And although I would hope that it's going to end soon, the circumstances that I see, it's something that's probably going to take more time. So we just need to continue to support Ukraine and do our best to actually help those victims in Czech Republic.
Yeah, it's well put. Well put. Robbie, any ideas on your side?
I stay out of it, man. I don't watch the news. It's too depressing.
Good for you. It is depressing. Well, for my 2 cents, yeah, it's unfortunate. And I'm a student of World War II, such as it is or was, and there's a lot of history. You know this, of course. Not even just with the Ukraine, Czech, and Soviet Union and Russia, that a lot of Americans don't understand. And unfortunately, there's issues that are going to arise because of that, and it's ignorance that's been generational. I mean, World War II generations thought the same thing or forgot about World War One, and then World War II went, and now the fades into memory, and people forget situations, and history doesn't repeat itself; it rhymes. So unfortunately, we're rhyming. I get a whole bunch of deja vu from 1974, 6, 7, 8, and 9, when Carter was in power, and it's really kind of spooky that we're talking Soviet Union again. It's like, oh my gosh, I expect Iran to take hostages any minute now, but that's not going to happen. So, well, that's cool, guys, and I appreciate that comment on that. I mean, it's my belief that everything interlaces with everything, right? I mean, from politics to economy to wars to oil prices to chips to AI copy machines. I've always felt that it all interlaces, and if something happens over here, it's going to impact us over there, no matter what over here and there are. So I think that's pretty cool. And I'm going to sum it up because this was very, very interesting. I hope you guys got something out of it. I think that we tactically and strategically will get a lot more out of this as it goes, because there's tons and tons of content in this particular session that I'm just going to eat up and use. I might use Chat GPT to help me with it, but it'll be good. With that, you guys have any parting comments there? Robert, we'll start with you. What's your go-to leave behind for the Office Tech Tap live stream? And let people know where they can get in touch with you and move forward and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, of course. For your audience, if you are a dealer, you are trying to explore the opportunities to drive new business opportunities to actually increase the profitability with software solution sales, you should definitely get in touch with us, and we can help you with that. As we mentioned, we have a great business offering. We believe that we have the best product in the market when it comes to print management and cloud print management, and scanning, copying, document management. So get in touch with us, and definitely we are building the channel in the Americas. We already have multiple partners that have joined us since we started our global business development strategy being shifted towards the Americas. So let's get in touch and definitely discuss partnership.
Cool. Robbie, I'll go to you, and then we'll save Victor for last.
I'm going to echo similar to what Robert was saying. These guys came calling on me a few months ago and recruited me to come over here and join the team. It's been exciting. I feel like we have just lit the fuse to a rocket here in the U.S. I think MyQ is going to take off, not to make too much of an obvious pun there, but quickly, MyQ is going to continue to be a contender here in the U.S. marketplace, and folks are going to know that we're there. They're going to start recognizing us.
Cool. Victor, take us out.
Okay. The best for last. I have only one thing, because Robert and Robbie summarized it perfectly. They both talked about the product and the business and what we can bring to the table from the product and business perspective. If you are a dealer, I would probably say one thing that I'm saying all the time, and that's not about the product or business side, that's about the partnership. So if you are looking for the right partners, we are here waiting for you, because in my opinion, people are not doing business with companies, but people do business with people. So we have to behave like people. And I think that's what makes the three of us, or the entire team we have in Americas, unique and different, because we value every single partnership we have, no matter the size, no matter the number of employees you have, no matter if you are a single person selling one copier in 5 years, or if you are a mega dealer selling thousands of copiers every single month. We value every single one in our portfolio, and we do our best to support you, to satisfy you and your customers. That's the reason why we hire the best professionals out of this industry. That's why we work 24/7 to develop programs that will help you grow your business. So if you're looking for better partners, better people, we are here waiting for you.
Perfect. All right, guys, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I don't personal note, I don't like making these into commercials, and this was not a commercial. This is purely for interest, and I think it's a really good session that hopefully will find you guys people that are aligned with what you guys want to do, and hopefully we'll let that be discoverable. I can't get behind you more than I already have. I love it, and look forward to watching you guys growing success. So for now, it's end of the session. Thank you very much. If anyone has any questions at all, hit me up at greg@grwalters.com. Give me a question. I'll shoot it over to those guys. Keep your eyes open. We might be doing this again. I love these types of sessions. I love the information that comes out, and I know that there's an audience for it that's totally different than the other things. But anyway, for now, signing off. Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to everyone later.
Thank you very much,
Great
Greg.
talking to you.
Pleasure to speak with you.
Yeah, bye-bye.